Hey, everybody, welcome to the Tech-Mex podcast. I'm your host, Eric Ramirez, and I got my awesome co host here, Mando Gomez.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to episode 34, number 34. Let's get into it. Dale.
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 Okay, man. What we have in the roster?
Okay, so if you don't notice, I got myself a nice, beautiful little tan going on here. Just came from beautiful Mexico City.
Yeah, man. It's like the one of the cities that never sleeps.
I can tell, man. I guess let's share a little bit about it. We actually went this last weekend to Mexico City. Mondo gave me and his beautiful family gave me a tour of the city. We hit up all the popular spaces, a lot of food, lots of fun. So I really appreciate you guys doing that. Me and Senator really had a lot of fun, and we feel like part of the family already. So
Yeah, man. I am very curious because it's funny because we just landed to Mexico City and I was thinking where to take you guys, right? And there's this restaurant called El Cardenal. If you're in Mexico City, you have to visit that one. And there are I believe three restaurants there, and they have a very typical traditional Mexican food. It's very, very good food, and I recommend on breakfast. That's usually where I like to go.
yeah.
But then, just for the audience, what happened? Literally, we just getting out of the airplane in the morning. We tried to get there, and this is like the Mexican downtown, right? And it's called Zócalo, and we start seeing a lot of people, right? Like, okay, well, but right now, like nothing, not much, right? And suddenly there is this. How you would describe the market, like the farmers market? How would you
Yeah, it's
describe
kind
it?
of, I mean, okay, so that area was really, yeah, there's like pockets of different markets, right? So, and just to let y'all know, like we did our best to park right next to this restaurant, but there's more going on that day that we really knew, and we couldn't find parking. So we were a little bit further out, but there's kind of like, yeah, bunch of little markets throughout that were kind of blocking the way. I guess they have pop-up markets all the time that
Pop
where they
up.
block
Those
streets,
are
right?
pop up like maybe only on Friday because it was a Friday, right? So
Hmm.
yeah, they pop up like with the tarps and the structures, like they are not like own buildings, right? And they just
Hmm.
pop it for maybe Friday or Saturdays or whatever. Then it's interesting because my mom actually was driving, and then
Fast
she
and
has an SUV,
Furious.
like Fast and Furious. Shout out to my mom.
Yeah.
So and suddenly she's like, yeah,
Yeah.
like oh wow, like literally
Yeah, in
backwards, right?
reverse. She's like,
In
I was like,
reverse.
man, she's going up and down these alleys like with a
And then you
quickness.
have these things called diablitos, which are like dollies, with the people just moving the merchandise to the pop
Oh yeah.
markets. So then, and there was no space on the sides. I mean, come on, you're in old Mexico City, right? All these streets are like maybe 200 years old cities,
Hmm.
which obviously they didn't have like big trucks and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So that took us maybe an hour just to literally in that little. And by the way, the restaurant was like 3 blocks away from it.
We kept trying to go around. We're like, we'll get there eventually. No, it was all completely blocked off, but there's a reason for it, it
Yeah.
seemed.
Then my mom says, "Oh no, I think that there is a protest or a rally in the other
Yeah.
side." And I start seeing the people that, oh crap, yeah, it is. Anyways, we actually find a parking spot. We just like told my mom, just let's just park there, right? And then we go and walk. Literally, we were like 3 or 4 blocks. We can just walk, right? And that's what we
Hmm.
did. We went to the restaurant. We start hearing a lot of the noise, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
The
all of
people
that.
with the drums and the music, and we started getting louder, really exciting. We're like, oh man, what's going on? And you start seeing the crowds of people, everyone wearing their t-shirts and their hats and the signs. We're like, oh, it's a rally. So it's pretty
It was
cool.
a rally. And
Hmm.
and for the audience, I'm not sure you guys are following what is happening over there, but this year is election days as well. And for them, and it's they have different parties in Mexico, and the rally that it was going right now, it was for Claudia. Claudia, I have trouble pronouncing her last name,
Sheinbaum.
Shambom. and basically she will be one of the first presidenta for
Female
a
presidents, yeah.
female president, right? So,
Hmm.
and this is from this party Morena, which is very socialist, very very socialist. So it was interesting, and we got into a restaurant, we ate, and then we start hearing less noise,
Yeah, we're like,
which we
oh,
thought
finally, it's dying down a little bit outside because it was
it
getting
was
pretty crowded.
getting crowded, but it's like, well, no, there's not a lot of noise from the restaurant. So, and we ate and whatever. Then we come out. I'm not kidding. We couldn't walk, right? Like
Like a million people literally
it-
outside. We're like, oh God, what
so I do
happened?
have a question for you. Is this your first rally?
First one like this, I mean, it's like just a sea. It's a sea of people, and like you're in this crowd, and you're basically shoulder to shoulder, arm to
Yeah,
arm with people, and you can feel the
yeah, the
sway, right?
movement.
The movement, right? The crowd is one, really, essentially, and so
Almost like the
I know for
birds, right?
some
Like
it
when
could be
they're
a little bit
moving on the
much.
sky.
What's that? It's like the birds in the sky.
Yeah, yeah. But in this case, they were like shoulder to shoulder or wing to wing.
Yeah, wing to wing. Yeah, it one. I mean, it was a thing to behold. We're part of history there. I think I think a lot of things are pointing to Shine Bum is going to be the first female president there in Mexico. So I think
My
being part of
Mexican friends
president
though,
there.
they say I don't like her, they hate her, whatever, right? And I said, dude, she's gonna win. I'm telling you, I was there.
Just from the looks of that rally, I am telling you, yeah, that was amazing. Like,
A lot of people were thinking, well, they pay money to people just to come and like, sure, but even if they pay 5,000 pesos to each person that was there, they were like rallying, right? Like
yeah,
they were excited to see her. They were actually wanted to see her. They were
yeah.
walking to actually see the screens on
Hmm.
this on the downtown, the Zocalo, to see her. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And you know what? The excitement, the happiness that these people had was something else. We obviously showed up not even knowing what we were getting into, but we're like, "Hey, let's get a sign and a hat or whatever." So we blended, and yeah, they're like, "Yeah, yeah, here, yeah, take the hat, here, take the sign." Like people are like into this. They like that we were asking about it, right?
yeah, and it's like that was interesting because in Mexico City you have to put a barrier, right? It's and in any big city you have to because there is scams and there is like things that happen through the city, and you have to be very very alert, very very alert. And I was surprised that these guys they randoms and they just give us the sign, and even one guy was wearing a hat. He's like, yeah, yeah, take my hat, sure, whatever.
Mm.
So we were having a sign and the hat, right? So we have some pictures, nice pictures too, right?
Yeah, we'll see if we get it over to producer Katie so we can add some in here.
Shout out to producer Katie, the most beautiful producer of ever. My wife, by the way.
Yeah, I think she can help us out here. But no, it was honestly it was pretty cool to be part of that. It maybe got a tad bit scary once we were trying to get out because people were starting to like push and shove a little bit. But it was just because it was really crowded and it wasn't anything like people were trying to start something. But it was a
It
lot
is
of
it is
people.
it is dangerous. It was getting to a level where before there was people and they were okay. They were, but it was getting very 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 packed. It's one of the probably the rallies that I have been like with no space, right? And
Hmm.
it's very hard to move. There is no way to move, right? And the problem is that sometimes stampedes happen if something just gets out of control and a
Hmm.
stampede happen, right? The good news is that I'm pretty tall, so I
Yeah.
was just moving around with with
Yeah, me
elbows,
too.
right?
And I'm pretty heavy, so it's like a little harder to push me around.
Yeah, yeah. But I have my daughter right with me, so I have to kind of help her. And even she's tall too. But
Mhm.
yeah, we I'm glad that we were able to get out because it was getting very very uncomfortable, right? So
Yeah.
this is not the only one that I have been though. One time I also live in Seattle, and there is a lot of protest too in Seattle. In this building, I worked for Amazon for a few years, and I always noticed these very tall doors, like very, very
Hmm.
tall, and almost you cannot even move them because they look like doors, but it's like you try to push them and they're like solid, like metal. And it looks like it has a little just a layer of wood, but it's mainly metal in the middle, and very, very tall. Anyways, every day you pass through, it's like whatever. That day that they were doing a protest slash almost a riot, I will consider more like a riot.
Hmm.
They closed them. So I was in the fifth or sixth floor, and I was seeing the rally slash riot slash protest. I don't even know what it was for, and they just closed those doors, and people were trying to get in. Like, oh crap! So,
Like,
but
uh,
we just stayed there, and they were just sounding the alarms, right? Hey, just stay where you are,
yeah.
and it's like hard. And yeah, we were seeing the rally on the from the windows. But this is that one. It was very scary in my mind. I didn't feel scared on this one because I think that it was just it got into a point where yes, we need to move because it's a lot
Yeah.
of people and we're not used to this type of crowd.
Yeah, definitely here it's more friendly. It's just a lot of
Mm,
people. But you know what? You talking about this experience you had in Seattle. I had something similar back in the 90s in Ecuador. I was over there
mm.
doing kind of missions type trip. And it turns out like the government started falling apart and just gas prices and things like that. There were all kinds of riots and we were trying to get out of town. Well, anyways, when we were in one of the main cities in Ecuador, they there's people with bazookas that started come out and
Oh,
started launching stuff,
oh shit!
and so there was explosions. So we were with a student group, and we all just ran into a restaurant. We all ran into a restaurant and they had metal doors, like scrolling doors. So we
Hmm.
scrolled the doors down and we all hid behind tables until the explosion stopped outside. So there was like gunfire and all kinds of stuff like that. Um, by the way, after that experience, I'm like, I'm not scared of anything. If I can
I
survive
guess,
that,
man, like a
you know, nothing
bazooka.
else. So is really comes to that. But you know, that was more of like a real riot, like you know,
Yeah.
where people are trying to cause damage or trying to cause harm. Whereas you know, this was kind of a peaceful
No,
people
this one
having
this one was
fun.
peaceful. They were
Yeah,
very excited. Yes, there was a lot of people, and that's it made it a little bit scary because of Tupac that you
yeah.
will not be able to move, but it
Well,
was not scary
people.
at all.
Well,
So
Mexico City has like what 20 million people at least, something like that.
more though during the day because there is a lot of suburbs. People
Hmm.
come to the city. Sometimes they rank maybe 35 between 30 to 35 millions on a very small piece of land, and then at night, yeah, it comes to something 20ish
Yeah, so you can
millions.
imagine how many people you know are at these rallies, and especially they're probably coming from other parts. Not it's not just from Mexico City specifically for this event. You know, it's kind of funny. As the weekend went on, I started to see these posters on the walls saying, "Come to the event of this rally for Scheinbaum." I was like, "Oh man, we had no clue what we were
We
getting
have no
into."
clue that we were there, right? And it's like these
But
things happening.
we made history. We're there. You know, I can just tell this coming summer,
You, you,
Sheinbaum's
you
going to
you can
become
have a
president.
yeah, you can have it's like in my times I did it.
So true. Hey,
So
hey. I was just gonna say. Well, moving on from this from the Sheinbaum, man, the food is pretty good over there in Mexico City.
I
Man, that's
told
what
you,
we were looking
man, it's
forward
like
to.
people don't realize and people think that it's just tacos, right? Sure, this is
Mm,
our staple and everybody kind of likes it, but what they don't realize is that Mexico was is a mix also of different cultures. We have
mhm.
French, we have obviously Spanish, and obviously the pre-Hispanic. And dude, like the food, the combinations, and now you see why a lot of people they like the pan.
Fun.
I mentioned the story of my grandpa, so
Yeah.
grandpa, wherever you are, yeah, pan. So every time in Dia de los Muertos, we leave some pan for my grandpa.
That's awesome. Well, I don't know about your grandpa, but that mole, man, I am telling you, it was very, very good. That's from the Cardenal that we went to.
Mhm.
I had some chicken mole with some chicken breast there. Man, it was awesome. So it was very, very good. I will tell you though, my mom's is still I got you, mom. Yeah, but the mole is very good. Man, you know that other place that we really liked also was Saks. Man, that place was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that place is pretty good. So that was the other thing in Mexico. I asked Eric, is like, hey, what part do you want to see? Because you can see an old Mexico and a new Mexico, and you guys know what he said. I want a nice Mexico. Like, you got it, man. There's also a nice Mexico too, and a luxury Mexico. So this area, which is Polanco, is an area where there is a lot of Jewish people, and we actually call it the Jewish Valley.
Ah,
Uh,
yeah.
and this person actually, Claudia, she's Jewish too. So there
Oh,
is
Scheinbaum.
people don't know that there is a lot of Latin people. Believe it or not, I'm 2% Jewish too, and a lot of
Ashkenazi
Latins
right
are
here.
Ashkenazi too. So you guys don't see the notes. So uh, that area is very nice, and that restaurant Saks is very good. And it's funny because I remember, not sure if it was you or Sandra. It's like, why they don't bring the pan like this in Houston restaurant?
Yes, exactly. Oh my God. So okay, so for those of y'all, I want to paint the picture, right? So you walk into this restaurant, right? It's very ornate, very high ceilings. You can tell it's been remodeled. There's some historical touches to it, a lot of gold flares, things like that, lighting just right, right? Really awesome. They have an outside terrace, outside area for seating. We sat on the inside. Everyone's dressed up really nice, kind of in like this tux type outfits. But you come
Except
in,
Eric, he was in his
except for
short.
oh yeah, we had a joke about that. I came. They're like, I was like, okay, yeah. They're like, that guy's American, right? He's coming from United States. He's wearing shorts and a t-shirt at this fancy place. I was like, well, I didn't know, right? But no, this place was really good. They come first. You sit down. They're like, pan. I was like, how did you know?
How did you know? Of course,
But a
indeed.
platter, right? A platter. It doesn't look picked through, and everything looks pristine, perfect. It's like, wow, this is the kind of service that we need back here in Houston. I was like,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
can we do Saks Houston over here?
yeah, yeah. And then it's just, by the way, this place that he's saying, it used to be just a house, right? Like and this sometimes people forget that there was a lot of wealthy, and then literally the nobles, right? Like they will come and they will just uh, like over here in US we have the plantations, right? Some of that in that those
Mhm.
huge houses that they have where like uh, farming and all of that, right? So similar in Mexico, they have these people that they live, and yeah, it's humongous house. So, but
Yeah,
yeah, I'm glad that
very
you like the
nice.
food.
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, I actually we went back on the morning the morning we left. We went cruising down Mosaric, and then we went back to Sex. We walked over there since it's pretty close where we're staying, and yeah, we had another nice breakfast there. So
Nice.
definitely like that place. But we also did some street food. Also, it's pretty good. We didn't get sick. I
So
don't
yeah,
think it
yeah,
did.
and you have to be careful, right?
At least
So,
not there.
so we sometimes Mexicans don't drink the water neither because
Uh-huh.
uh some people do, but mainly no, we don't because it's very old pipes. So
Hmm.
yeah, we try to filter it. But yeah, what do you think about the traffic?
Oh man, the traffic was something else. All right, so basically, like in here in Houston, right? You can get anywhere in Houston within 30 minutes for the most part, right? Like wherever you want, from side to side. You hop on a highway and you're pretty much there. I know some places a little bit further out, but for the most part, over there, I think the equivalent is like you're like at least an hour and a half from one place to another because that traffic is something else. I mean, we talked about, you know, a million people probably at this rally for Scheinbaum. All those people got to get on the streets as well. So like, it is bumper to bumper, and it's kind of funny. On the way to the airport when we were leaving out, oh man, it took us probably over or maybe 2 hours to get to the airport, and the airport's not that far from the area. What is it? Maybe like 10 miles, something like that.
Something
Mando.
like that, yeah.
Yeah, and it's yeah, a couple hours. But I know we went to Teotihuacan to go look at the pyramids and stuff like that. That's actually pretty cool.
That's pretty
That
cool.
wasn't too bad of a drive.
No, no, it was like maybe an hour and a half, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But had you've been to the pyramids before, right?
Yes. By the way, they used to allow you to climb the pyramid of the sun and the moon, one of those. I forgot which one, but they allow you to, but now they don't.
Yeah.
So that was 3 years ago when they block the entrance. Which, to be honest, is that's how it's supposed to be, because you go to other places on the world and they do the same, right? Because uh,
Mhm.
a lot of people they're trying to get pieces of the pyramid.
You should have said that while I was over there. That would have clicked. I'm like, I should take the moon pyramid home with me. But it's actually pretty cool.
It was
We
pretty
can choose
cool.
some others, right? Like the one in Tulum and stuff like that. But yeah, this is pretty cool. Like you said, we couldn't get to the sun pyramid, which is twice as high as the moon pyramid. I remember them saying.
Yeah.
We actually had a nice tour guide there, so that was nice. That helped us kind of explain everything. But we did climb the moon pyramid, and I did not pass out. So that's good. I worked on my lunges there, had some nice exercise. By the way, like the altitude over here in Mexico City is what, like a mile high or something like that, similar to Denver, maybe.
It's pretty tall. So some people actually, if they have heart problems,
Hmm.
sometimes they feel it, right? So
Yeah.
because yeah, it is pretty high in Mexico City.
Yeah, so I did get a little out of breath while we were doing the climbing of the pyramid, but it was definitely manageable considering here in Houston we're sea level, right? We're here at zero or negative sea level altitude. So from 0 to 5,000 is kind of, it does make a bit of a difference, but we survived. That's pretty good.
Yeah. How do you like the neighborhoods? Because I took you to multiple neighborhoods, right? Like over there they call them colonias,
Hmm.
which is kind of like a um, they are not truly cities. It's more like delegaciones. That's
Hmm.
the word that we use.
Okay.
And then you have like suburbs slash neighborhoods across.
So I mean, the places that we went to, they were all pretty nice. We stayed in Polanco, the Polanco area. So if you guys YouTube Mexico City, Polanco, that's where they usually say it's kind of a nicer area. Historically, it's been really nice there. So we stayed there. Superb, nice area, lots of restaurants, walking distance, everything super safe. That was really cool. But we didn't actually spend too much time there. We Mando's family took us around kind of all other areas. So we stayed in Roma, or we hung out in areas like Roma, Condesa. Condesa is like where La Salle, the university, that's where you went to school, right? So
Hmm.
it's got a nice younger feel, where Polanco is
Yeah.
maybe a little bit older crowd. Um, so those areas were cool too. Roma was always also a nice place. If you look up on YouTube, you'll see Roma Norto is kind of like the hip area, I think, up and coming area. So that was really nice. We went to lots of coffee shops and things like that. Walked around these different areas. We went to go eat at El Greco tacos, which has been around for what, 50, 70 years, something like
Yeah,
that.
50 years, man. I met the owner, and she was amazing, right? So and uh, because it was literally close by my university, I hung out there in that area a lot.
Hmm.
So I stay in that area all the time for maybe 5 years, right? Walking all of that area and all that.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. Yeah, so we had a good
Don't
time in all
forget
those areas.
Coyoacan, man, the hippies area.
Oh, Coyoacan, the hippest area. We actually have a picture with the Coyoacan sign over there. That was pretty cool. We went to the market over there, walked around, got some paletas. Those were really, really good. Actually, I had one. Sandra got a coconut one. I got tamarindo.
Hmm.
Really, really good. Did some shopping there in the markets. We saw the dancers out on the plaza. Man, it's beautiful over there. We really liked the area. We even actually went to the Frida Kahlo
Hmm.
house, that blue house. So we took some pictures there. I would tell you, there was a line wrapped around the Frida Kahlo house.
Yeah.
A lot of
And
people there.
those places, they always have like people, like if you're in the weekend, we went to the market too, and you can buy anything. They bring them because Mexico City is a hub, so you can find things from different states of Mexico, right? So
Mhm.
it is pretty good. So I'm glad that you visited, so that way you have some other ideas, right? Because I think that you usually go to the beach.
Usually we stay with the areas that we know, and it's kind of secluded. So I'm really happy that your family was gracious enough to take us around town, because there's no way, if we had gone on our own, that we would even know where to start or what to do. We probably would have just stayed in one little area. But
Yeah.
speaking of that, the Polanquito area is right south of the Masaryk
Mhm.
street, which is kind of like Rodeo Drive or your River Oaks area here in Houston. Really, really nice area. We went shopping there also, up and down the streets. So that was really, really nice. If you guys are interested in doing some luxury shopping, they have lots of stuff there where you can go shopping. I know a favorite of the area is Zara's. It's very, very popular right there. So we checked that out, did some shopping there. So we got some new looks to come. But no, we had a really good time, and I'm again, thanks for showing us all around town, and we got to see all these different areas.
No worries. Um, Talking about Mexico, though, Mexico might be in the next few years. We're gonna start seeing Mexico growing. I was looking the conversion between the currency on the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Like you, in some point, it reached to 20 something pesos for $1, and right now it was
It's
like
16 or
literally.
17. Mm-hmm.
So the peso is getting strength, and the dollar is losing value. So
Yeah, I mean, actually, so we looked up some of the numbers, and the peso, Mexican peso, has actually outpaced the U.S. dollar since COVID, and not just the U.S. dollar, but like the yen, the euro, the pound, the Japanese yen. It's outperforming all of these, and you might thinking, well, what's causing all of this? So I think, if we've talked about this before on the pod, is that like there's some manufacturing that's coming to Mexico, right? A lot of people are shying away from China now. They're starting to focus more on Mexico, especially in North America, right? We've got the North American free trade, so that helps. So we're near shoring instead of offshoring like India and China. So I think Mexico is benefiting a lot from that. Some of the statistics are showing that within the next 20-25 years, Mexico is going to be the seventh largest economy in the world. So a lot is going on here, and just seeing Mexico City this last weekend, you could see that it's a beautiful area. There's already a lot of wealth there. There's a lot
yeah,
to work with. The people are hard workers, so I mean, it's just a matter
and the
of
weather,
time, and
man.
it's going up. And the weather was awesome. That's true. And I said, is it just this time of year? But you're like, no, it's got pretty consistent good weather. It was
Yeah,
probably 60s at night and like high 70s during the day. It was pretty comfortable the whole time we were there.
yeah. I'll say maybe 80% of the time is like that, or even more, 85. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's you don't need AC, right? And sometimes maybe in August is when it gets uh, hot, and
Hmm.
maybe in December, couple days a year, it gets super cold, but that's it.
Yeah, well, it was pretty good. We didn't have any problems. It was very comfortable while we were there. But I know one of the impediments to maybe seeing this growth that people are expecting out of Mexico is the water. I think there's some water issues with drought and things like that, I suppose. So I know they got to work on fixing that before it really explodes.
Yeah, yeah. Or moving more a little some people to other areas because right now it's highly concentrated in Mexico City. So we'll see. We'll see how they develop. But yeah, I'm excited to see the progress.
Awesome. Well, we had a great time. I really appreciate you and your family taking us out. I mean, looking forward to when we can pay back the favor when your family visits. Just let us know, and we'll be right there too.
We'll go and knock your door. It's like, okay,
Brisket time.
brisket time.
Oh man. Well, it was awesome. Okay. Well, moving on. Bitcoin. What's been going on Bitcoin this last couple of weeks? I know we skipped a week, but man, I think we're pump it up. You got to pump it up. It's
you
been
guys
going
need to,
up.
you guys need to see that video. It's actually giving us some subscribers too. It's even better than other meme videos that they are over there on
Yeah.
on Bitcoin.
I'm surprised because I just got inspired. I was like, man, we got to make one of these videos. Like, yeah, I was getting so hype. I was like, I'll make one, and we did a remix. So for those of y'all got to go check it out. It's actually pretty cool, pretty fun. There's a lot of oldies but goodies, but then I threw in a couple new memes in there for y'all to see. So check it out. But
We were talking, as we have our notes, we were talking 2 weeks ago of 57. And now this week, we are nearing 70K, right? Which we
yeah,
actually touched the highest of ever.
yeah, that's pretty cool. So that's a new all-time high technically, right? But it didn't carry through. So we did get rejected there pretty much at the all-time high around 70K. I think it was like six previously it was like 69. Now
69.
we got through over a little bit over 70K. So we're right there, but we're ready to bust out. I think we've tested it several times. That resistance, I think we tend to see that a little bit. At the previous all-time high, there's a lot of selling, whether it's psychological. Some people bought at the all-time high, so they're just like ready to just break even though I don't think there were that many, but because it was only at this all-time high area for like
I'll tell you
days
how many. Only
days
2% people, right, that
Yeah,
they have, because 98% already are in profit.
exactly. So
So
pretty
the only
much,
ones that they were not in profit were probably those.
yeah, exactly. And at this point, now that it hit 70K, everyone's had the opportunity to break even. It should be pretty much close to 100% in profit. So if you're holding, right, so diamond hands win out here, especially with the Bitcoin cycles that we've got. But yeah, it's very interesting. Just a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about, hey, we're gonna hit 50 something, and now we're knocking at the all time high doors here. So that's really good.
I
What's
think that all
driving
of
a
the
lot of
signs,
this?
yeah, all of the signs are like pointing, right? So,
Yeah.
and you have to be patient. We have discussed in the pod. Um, 2.4 billions, a record on the ETF, man. It's a lot of moolah
That's
flowing
just
to
in one day, right? It's like,
in one
oh
day,
my
by the way.
goodness.
So you see all of these kind of different uh, institutions. So it's playing out kind of what we were thinking in some point, right? So and it takes time. You cannot expect to see like like to the roof, right? Like in one day. So all of these numbers are playing out. Different institutions, they have to get permission. They have to do that, but it is literally spreading to the financial institutions. That's which is basically we might stop seeing some of those drops too, because the sometimes the drops were pretty big.
Mhm.
Sometimes in some cases even 90%, right? Imagine right now if it hits 100 and then goes back to 10. So hopefully with financial institutions, they will tell their people, hey, you know what, you have to use weigh the cycles, all of that, and it might stabilize the price as well.
Yeah, we're definitely in unprecedented territory for the most part. What's gotten us here has been retail. Now, what's going to take us to the next level is going to be institutional buyers. So, I think while yes, the what we see rhymes to what we've seen in the past, but it more than likely is going to be a little bit different just because there's some different players involved now. So, I would expect if you're looking at some of the, and again, we're not. This is not financial advice, but I would expect the bottom of what we would see, like conservative, is what we might expect just from retail investors. But now
Mm,
that institutional investors are on board, I think there's a higher ceiling. So I think a
yeah.
lot of the numbers that other analysts are seeing out there of like 500K to $1 million as a high or touching, right?
Yeah.
As a high in this cycle, it's valid. I can see a way of getting there. Of course, with the way these cycles work, it doesn't stay at that high. It'll come down a little bit, but like Mondo was suggesting, um, now that we have institutional investors, they may not want to see those big dips afterwards. So they may figure out a way to sustain some of those higher levels. So we'll see. But everything is looking good right here. Right now, we're waiting for Bitcoin to really blast through the previous all time high area, and we're gonna see if we can drop our viral video onto some of the subreddits here so we can get some excitement going too.
Yeah. We haven't discussed too much about another figure uh, on the industry for Bitcoin, which is kind of the Bukele.
Mm.
He is one of the another presidente, because he's in Spanish too, of the El Salvador. Yes,
Hmm.
this is kind of a small country, but you know what? They start embracing some of these technologies. They allow Bitcoin to be a legal tender, right? So that they can use it to buy and sell and different products, almost like a currency. So he says something very interesting a couple of weeks ago. Did you hear that, Eric, on what he was saying?
Yeah, so he was actually doing a talk here in the U.S. I think at
Mhm.
some kind of summit, but
Yeah, because it was in English. Yeah,
it was in English. He was dropping some knowledge, some secrets here. Um, very very interesting. So he was basically he was basically insinuating like, hey, this whole inflation stuff is a ruse. Like, it's a trick perpetrated by the government. And once you say something like that, you're like, it grabs your attention a little bit. It's like,
and
what is he
remember,
trying
this
to say?
guy. Yeah, and this guy is a president, right, of a nation.
Hmm.
So it's not like just a random bozo like in the news, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
he has access to the veil of this power and
Intel,
politicians, intel, right? So
exactly.
and pay attention again what he's saying, which I recommend to watch the video. Someday actually you'll see it scattered on the internet,
Hmm.
because it's a very simple way of thinking it. So go ahead,
Well,
Ramirez.
the gist of it was basically that he was saying, listen, people complain about taxes. Taxes are going higher. Inflation is going higher. But if you think about it, what's causing this inflation and things like that, right? It's the money printing. And yet the government is still taxing the people, taxing the people, taxing the people. And people are barely able to survive, right? They're barely able to grow. They're barely able to buy homes. They're barely able to feed their families, right? So things are tough. And he made this comment that was just very, very thought provoking. He's like, listen, you think you're paying taxes so you can keep the government going and rolling and keep their jobs and going, stuff like that. But the reality is, if the government can just create money out of thin air, print money, why do they need your taxes?
Why
It,
you
it
need to
doesn't
pay
make any
taxes?
sense. Why do they need your taxes if they can just print money? And essentially, he's insinuating that it's just a form of control. It's a form of keeping the people, I don't want to say oppressed, but keeping them in a system that benefits the elites,
It's a
essentially, is what
smoking
he's saying.
mirror, though, which is like it is literally that's what is happening. Before we used to be tied to the gold, so that made it sense. You needed to pay taxes because you needed to move around, because it was a representation of the contract for money that was backed by gold. But right now that you don't need to be back, right? That you can print as much as you, I guess, want in this point,
Yeah.
then why you need it, right? And it's just it's a very provoking process, and it's very simple put, right? So
Yeah.
um, so shout out to him, because I think that he's one of the ones that they are speaking, right, and he's not trying to be controversial. He's just like kind of raising this type of ideas, right? Like
Mhm.
and which again, it's interesting coming from a president, right?
Yeah, very interesting. I think he's just trying to lay out the facts out there. The reason he can say this is because El Salvador has adopted strong money, right? Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That's what their platform is all about, and Bitcoin kind of prevents a lot of that from happening. So he's being open about it because, right, his country hopefully can benefit from Bitcoin and will not fall into the same types of patterns. So very very cool from Bukele. Look it up. He's very eloquent in saying it, not like us, but he does a good job. And
What are you
just to fit,
talking about? I do I need to put my hair like a slick back, like a Rico Suave?
I have him in our viral video doing a little dance, Bruno Mars style. So that was my shout out to Bukele because I'm like, he needs to be
We need more people like that
recognized
for
here.
sure.
Yeah, for that. And I'll leave you guys with a little tidbit here just to stoke a little bit of excitement here on Bitcoin. So typically in the last four halvings, three out of the last four halvings, as soon as we as soon as we pierce that all-time high, or we get to that all-time high and surpass it within 3 weeks, 18 days, um, Bitcoin price doubles. Okay. So if we're looking at this week, it really just hit 70K this week. Maybe here within 3 weeks, we might be looking at 140K. This is just looking at this historically. Again, not financial advice, but we're just looking at historically. 3 out of the last 4 times, we saw it double within about 18 days or 3 weeks. The fourth time, it was took a little bit longer. It was still like maybe a couple months out, 2, 3 months out that it took to double, but eventually it did get out there. So if you're on the fence or you're looking at it, think about it. Take a look what it did in the past. Make your decision. But the signs are there.
The signs are there.
The
I,
signs are there.
I usually tell people it's like trying to be driving a car and trying to actually see in with your mirror on the back, and you keep driving because you cannot see on the front. So it's similar here. Maybe you're seeing some signs in the back as well. Maybe.
yeah, definitely. But anyways, just a bit of good news there for you, something to look forward to here in the coming weeks. Next up, what's the latest in the AI? What's going on, Mondo? What'd you
AI,
hear?
man, it's like machine learning and artificial intelligence. Dude, my ex boss, Elon, right? He's suing OpenAI and Sam Altman, right?
Who's he
So
suing now? Oh my gosh, he's always doing something, huh?
this one is I'm not signing with anyone, but this one is I think that it has to happen. Look, Elon is a master of drama. He really likes attention, and and I think that he is trying to get the muscle of the court and the jury to be able to get some truth, because I really think that he feels that QStar star is AGI, right? Like a
Mm-hmm.
like a general artificial intelligence, and and that will be a drastic thing, right? And I think that with the lawsuit, that's what he's trying to uncover. And I was reading the document, literally, I was reading section by section on the lawsuit, and it's very interesting how the lawyers drafted. Obviously, it was also Elon telling them what he wants to uncover, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, it's funny that one of the demands is like it has to change the name.
He did say that. He said, "I'll drop the lawsuit if you change the name to Closed AI." It's like, Elon, what you
It's like,
talking about?
because remember, it's open AI, close AI. So it's like the guy's a troll, man.
Yeah, it's funny.
But in the lawsuit, going back to the document, he's asking the jury to disclose if what is their interpretation, if they think that is general AI or not, because in that way, even there might be some regulations that has to happen, right? And it's uncovering if it truly what is out there. So this is gonna be very interesting, right? How it's going through. And remember, there was a drama a few weeks back about the board and how Sam Altman got kicked out, and they didn't disclose. And one of our interpretation, it was maybe they have the AGI, and the board didn't want them to get it out, and maybe it's playing. Actually, maybe that might be playing right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot going on there, and I'm sure that's what he's trying to uncover because he's behind, right? He's got Grok, which I haven't heard anything about it lately. So maybe they're not doing too well. Who knows? But we've just seen Sora come out, and Sora seems to be like doing very, very excellent. Really being able to create these minute-long videos just by a single prompt that look very realistic. One of my favorites is there's I think the prompt was something like an alien walking around a
And alien
neighborhood,
walking, yes.
look like blending in, and it looks just like that. It's so funny. It just looks like a blue alien walking around in like a little baseball hat. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. So I think that that's gonna be developing in the next weeks, months, and let's see how that plays out. I am curious because this is becoming political. Because
Mhm.
if you think about it, if general AI is here, then what we're gonna do, right?
You're right. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember Andrew Yang. He was a presidential candidate in the last elections, and he was saying, "AI is coming. AI is coming." Like he was ringing, sounding the alarms. Like Nobody listened to him. He didn't get very far in Canada. I mean, he made it through some debates and things like that, but it wasn't something that people cared. It was not imminent, right?
Hmm.
It was apparently 4 years too early.
Too early.
Um, and he was saying, look, once we get AGI and it's just around the corner, there's going to be a big structural shift in employment. And when you're talking about structural shifts in employment or structural unemployment, that means people don't have the skills to get a new job. So
Yeah.
the AI is really going to cause this structural unemployment, I think, right? Where you're not really able to get the type of job that you have training for because AI and even robots at some point are going to take over a lot of the jobs that are available because it's just so much
Hmm.
cheaper. His municipalities right now are experimenting with where they're giving a stipend basically every month to certain people. So
Hmm.
I found that is pretty interesting. And even the latest that we heard from the Nvidia CEO. Did you hear about this?
Yeah, I saw the news though, which is uh, yeah, tell to the audience what he said basically.
Well, basically, he's saying, "Hey, you guys, don't learn to code. Like we've solved this problem. I mean, of course, right now Nvidia's been in the news a lot lately about their chips and their stock is soaring super high. I mean, they are the leaders right now in chips used for AI. He's in on all the talks about what's going on. I'm sure he's very very comfortable talking with Sam Altman about what the future plans are for the AGI. He's probably seen some of the Q star stuff. He knows. He's like saying, you guys that are studying how to code right now, learn something else because
Yeah.
it's I'm sure he's thinking it's almost solved. I mean, you've used ChatGPT and you say, it can get you part of the way there. He's obviously seen something where it can really get you all the way there.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that it puts people in a pickle, right? Because what they're gonna do, right? And it's tough right now because, uh, and we have here that maybe quality, right? Like and maybe some other countries that they have specialized, like Philippines or India, right? Like yeah,
Hmm.
that some of those jobs, they still might be required to bet that those systems are working properly. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the job market. Talking about AI, though, the other thing that happened on the news, did you hear that basically there was a finance worker that did a check for 25 millions after a call on a deep fake in a Zoom meeting, basically? So, because the hacker made a video, probably with Sora, who knows, right?
Yeah, who knows?
with the face of the chief financial officer, and then it's like, hey, by the way, put in this account, and probably a Nigerian account
Nigerian prince got it.
or a Russian hacker, who knows, right? And 25 million. So I think that this is where we see the tools being for the good, used for the good, and also used for the bad, right? So very, very interesting. We can see a lot of different companies trying to combat this, right? To make sure. One of the simple ways that I'm thinking is you have to tell your friends and family, hey, our keyword is this. Because if I send you, if I'm calling you and they're trying to scam you, and if you feel that it's not me, then ask me my password, right? So because that's
Mhm.
kind of one easy way to prevent that type of thing, right? Just to have your safe word.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, very, very, very true. I think that's a good strategy. You gotta, it's watermelon, raspberry. I don't know what it is, but it's like, well, figure out what that is with your family because there could be these fake, I guess, kidnappings or whatever, and they try to
Hmm.
extort some money out of you.
Extortions and things like that, and scams, obviously. So yeah, yeah, we'll
Hmm.
start seeing more in when these technologies are on the loose. It's gonna be very, very weird. And when you can literally deploy that, you make a phone call and you're speaking, and this thing is transforming into a different voice, man. Like you're gonna be able to to see. But yeah, it's an interesting way. So we'll figure out what are the things that are coming out, because we have to be able to pick it up. But the easiest one is just to have a password or a something that is like, okay,
They're
is this
safe
is the
word.
real person? Yeah.
I think Bitcoin is Elon's safe word. Didn't he tweet that out at some point?
Maybe.
Who knows? Well, anyways, lots of interesting stuff there. You guys go check out what Jensen Huang has to say about coding. Is there something better that you should be doing? What he recommends? You need to go read about that because it's just a matter of time before things start really changing a lot more quickly, especially once AGI really becomes mainstream and out in the forefront. All right, billionaire watch. What do we got this time, Mando?
Man, we have one of the greatest cash outs of different billionaires. So what's going on, man? Remember that we are part of
Okay,
that chat group with all of the
yeah.
billionaires?
So the chat on WhatsApp said, "Hey guys, who's dumping? Who's dumping?" So
Dump
apparently,
it out. Yeah.
Jeff Jeff Bezos. Okay, Jeff Bezos sold about $8.5 billion of stock. The Waltons from Walmart, right, sold about $4.5 billion in stock. The Zuck, he also sold $500 million. Diamond, a couple hundred million. Even Buffett is selling stuff. So like, there's something weird going on right now. Like, that's over $10 billion that are just being sold from these billionaires that are in the know. Now, when I got the text in the WhatsApp, it didn't really say why, so I can't tell why, but they're all selling. Do you think it's related to Bitcoin?
Uh, it could be, but also I think that
It could be.
in the next few years there are seasons on when to make money. So then maybe they can allocate to other things. And yeah, Bitcoin could be one, right? And any other things
Yeah.
that they might still see it cheap, or building their bunkers, right?
You're right. These are going to be some massive bunkers. They've all been building these things, but there have been some kind of mystery buyers of Bitcoin right now. Of course, blockchain analysis, you can see kind of what a lot of the stuff that's going on Bitcoin, who's buying what, and if you can identify whose address that is, you can kind of follow their transactions in a way. So a lot of people were saying that Bezos was one of the big buyers of Bitcoin recently, especially since he just did this big sale, as well as these other billionaires, they made big sales. So more than likely they're trying to diversify a little bit, like we've been saying, and what a lot of analysts have been saying. A lot of people are going to do 1 to 5% allocation into Bitcoin. So they're starting to move money around. But I'm curious what this means about stocks too. I mean, we need to keep an eye on that because, right, I'm not all in on. I mean, I'm all in on Bitcoin, but I'm still somewhat diversified. So you got to
OG
keep your money.
DJing.
You got to be aware. You got to be aware of the fiat side of things too, right? DJ Ogen, what is it?
Uh, for the audience that you just tune in,
DGen.
we basically, that's a playa name for a Burning Man for Eric Ramirez. It will be OG DJing, which means original gangster degenerate.
And by the way, I got my proof here. I got my you get it, my
Empty
MT Gox
Gox,
here.
Bob.
You know, the MT Gox, going back old school. I got to collect my NFT. You said that there's something
There
out
is
there
an
that I can get,
NFT
right?
that you guys can see that we're not like just barely jumping into the wagon on Bitcoin. We were here way before all of these mofos. So yeah, it was like at least 10, 11 years already.
Man, it's hard to keep track. It's probably
Yeah,
been
it's hard to
since
keep track, but
2012,
yeah, and some money has been
13.
getting back from empty gods, right? So that's the other thing that happened there. But yeah, coming back to the billionaires watch, maybe some billionaires are getting their Bitcoin. I do hear them like Robert Kiyosaki now, like pushing hard on Bitcoin. I hear like uh, Kevin O'Leary, the Mr. Wonderful, also into Bitcoin, right? Like you start
Mhm.
seeing some of these billionaires. Obviously, Michael Saylor, he
Right,
he might become the one of the best moves in like history, right? Like
right.
if in the rate that we're going, very quickly we're gonna get to 100K, right? And if we get to 100K, and we have seen Bitcoin doing 10x moves, so that will put a Bitcoin 1 mil up, each one. So the guy has close to 200,000 Bitcoins, right? So it will be just massive amount of money there. So
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, good stuff there. Keep an eye on the stocks right now. I'm not really sure what they're going to be doing, so we don't get too much into fiat. But this is kind of a weird sign from the billionaires out there. They're selling a lot. Something's going on. You need to check that out. Another report that came out, just with inflation and everything, you now need a net worth of at least 5.8 million to be considered to be top of the 1% of richest Americans. This new report finds so. This number keeps moving up and up. It wasn't that high that long ago. So there's keep track of this. These billionaires are acting funny, so we'll see if we can figure this out for you and bring some of this back to y'all next time.
we have a good
I
one,
think
man.
that's
Let's
all
wrap
we.
it up.
Yeah, I think that's all we got for today, everybody. Just remember to like, subscribe, share with your friends. We also like to hear your comments. Please let us know what you think. Even if you think we're wrong, we want to hear it. We'll see y'all again next time. Dale.
Dale.